Hi, having a great day. You're watching JG Entertainment, and for this video, I'm gonna be going over the November 2021 box office, including all of its big movies, which include Eternals, House of Gucci, Encanto, Ghostbusters, Clifford. All those big movies I'm gonna be covering in this video that came out in November, covering its box office, how good these movies perform, and what's the actual overall box office for November 2021, and what does this mean for the recovery of the box office, and especially for next month, where a bunch of big movies are coming out as well. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be going into this video. It's going to be very analytical, especially if you like videos with box office numbers and just seeing how the movie industry works. And I think this is the video for you. So make sure to watch the whole way and get a bunch of information about the box office and how these movies perform. But before that, please make sure to leave a like. It would be very helpful, so please leave a like. It took a lot of time to make this video, so please leave a like. Also subscribe for a lot more content like this. I did one for last month, so you want to check that out. I'll link it down in the comments as well as in the corner at the end of the video. And if you want, and also just subscribe for a lot more content. I'm definitely going over new movies box offices like Spider-Man No Way Home. For sure gonna be going over that box office, and other movies like Scene coming up that I'm gonna be going over the box office of. So definitely just subscribe so you can see those box office videos, as well as just a lot of other content on movies. And lastly, comment down below on which of these movies did you see and which one did you enjoy the most of November. I'm definitely curious. I think personally for me, Eternals was the best one, but I'm sure you probably have different opinions. So definitely should comment that down below. Which one did you enjoy the most and which one do you think was the worst? Okay, now let's get started. Okay, so we're gonna get started with the biggest movie of November 2021, which is Eternals, because most likely because it's a Marvel movie. Okay, and I'm gonna start with the opening weekend, and this movie had an opening weekend of $71 million domestically, on par with F9, but lower than Shang-Chi and Black Widow. So it was like a okay opening weekend. It was tracking for a lot better until the reviews came out, and it really did not great in reviews. It's actually, I think, a rotten score right now. So yeah, it didn't do that great in reviews, so it definitely brought down the money or the box office that was going to come for this movie. But I still did some good money. Like I said, it's on par with F9. It did a little bit better than F9, so it was still a lot of money. It was still really big opening weekend, just not as big as it was supposed to be, or as it was predicted to be. And then it had a really high second weekend drop, with dropping 62.3%, getting $26.8 million the second weekend. So that's some big drops. However, we have been seeing some really big drops during the pandemic time. F9 had a huge drop. Black Widow had a huge drop. All these big blockbusters have been having massive drops. Venom the Carnage had a massive drop and everything. And this movie actually had a little bit towards the lower end of the stick, where it actually was the second lowest dropped movie at second weekend from these big blockbusters, only behind Shang-Chi, which had a really incredible hold. And this movie still had a pretty big drop, but still it was more towards the lower drops of the pandemic. But if this was regular times, then it would be pretty bad. But because we're in a pandemic and this is kind of like the norm, this was actually pretty good for Eternals, and I was like, okay, that's pretty good. Then it had another big drop, dropping 58.7% on its third weekend, earning $11 million that weekend. So that's when we start getting to, okay, it is dropping a lot. So that I was like, okay, it's slowing down this box office for sure. It should have had better holds, just like Shang-Chi had amazing holds. This movie wasn't getting as big as holds as Shang-Chi. And this past weekend, which was Thanksgiving weekend, it had a 28.5% drop. So that's an amazing hold. I mean, an amazing hold. Going from 58.7% last weekend to 28.5% of a drop. That's really great. So that means that it earned $7.9 million this past weekend. So yeah, that's really good. I was like, oh, let's go. Finally, a good drop. We'll see what happens this weekend. Will it drop a lot, or will it drop like in the middle? If it can drop anything below 50 or really low 50s, then I think it's going to be a good drop. So overall, the Eternals domestic box office is of $150.7 million, which accounts for 40% of its overall box office. So that's a lot of money. That's pretty good money. Not, like I said, not the highest at all, but I think it's pretty good. It's pretty good money. It's way lower than Shang-Chi and Venom the Carnage, which both have crossed already 200 million. Shang-Chi is like at 220, and Venom the Carnage is like 200 and I think 30 or 40. It's really high. Venom the Carnage did amazing in domestic box office, and it's probably gonna end up around F9's box office. This movie, Eternals, is probably gonna end up around F9's box office, and maybe even with some luck, around Black Widow's domestic box office, which is around $170 to $180 million domestically, which is pretty good. It's not bad, especially if it's not part with F9. I think it's good. It's not great, like I said, but it is pretty good. I know a lot of people were calling this movie a flop. It wasn't a flop. It just wasn't a hit, the biggest hit. It was a pretty good movie. It's a pretty big movie, just not a big huge hit. So this looks, however, like the movie underperformed because it did underperform over under expectations. However, the movie is doing actually a lot better internationally, where it has made $217.8 million. So to put that into context, this movie has actually done more money than Shang-Chi's international box office, where Shang-Chi did $207.1 million. This movie did $217.8 million. It's also beating Black Widow's international box office, which is $195.9 million. So that's crazy. This movie is actually doing really well internationally, and that's great. That's really great. And these other two movies, Shang-Chi and Black Widow, are done internationally. However, this movie is not. So this movie still has room to grow for its money, and I think it's gonna grow a pretty good amount. I think so. Like I said, this movie did a really good amount of money overseas, which is why I think that this movie might end up its overall box office around $410 to $420 million, basically matching Shang-Chi's box office, which made around $420 million, which is pretty good. So basically, it's going to match Shang-Chi's box office, and it will make it the fourth biggest worldwide 2021 movie made by Hollywood if it's under Shang-Chi. If it's a little bit over Shang-Chi, then it's going to be the third biggest movie. And that's all thanks to the international box office, because like I said, it didn't do better domestically, but internationally it did better, which is really interesting. However, this does show that Hollywood needs China fast, because China's dropping a lot of money. F9 did an amazing amount of money, but that's thanks to its Chinese release date, which gave it so much money. And James Bond did an amazing and also got a Chinese release date. So the fact that this movie didn't get a Chinese release date is affecting it, just like it affected the other two Marvel movies, Shang-Chi and Black Widow. Thankfully, Spider-Man No Way Home has a Chinese release date, so that gives it a big boost, and that gives it a big chance to actually hit the $1 billion club, which I will talk about at the end of this video. So yeah, expect maybe for this movie to have one last big jump when Spider-Man No Way Home comes out, as Marvel fans might go see Eternals first and then go see Spider-Man No Way Home. Something like we saw this kind of happen whenever Captain Marvel was still in theaters, whenever Avengers Endgame came out back in 2019, and Captain Marvel actually went up on a spike whenever Avengers Endgame came out, because Marvel fans were seeing Captain Marvel and then seeing Avengers Endgame. So it could have that effect, maybe not, we'll see. But yeah, definitely expect this movie to come out on Disney Plus, or to be announced to come on Disney Plus on the Christmas Day, because that would be around 2 months almost since the movie came out, for sure, or 45 days, which is its window, and it would be pretty big, especially for the holidays, for Christmas. I think it could be a big hit, and if it doesn't come out on Christmas, then expect it very early next year, probably between the first or second week of January for the holidays. So definitely expect this movie to come on Disney Plus very soon, and yeah, I think it's gonna do great there. So yeah, as you can see, Eternals actually did pretty good. It just didn't overperform, but I think it did pretty good. It was a solid, big movie. So it performed on par with Shang-Chi, and Shang-Chi is considered a hit, and I definitely consider this movie a hit as well. So great job, Eternals. Okay, moving on to the next movie, and this one's Encanto, which just came out last weekend, and it actually has great reviews and everything, so I really want to see it. Hopefully I can see it soon. But let's go over to box office. So it opened with a $40.3 million on its opening 5-day weekend, which counts for Wednesday, which is the day that it opened, to Thanksgiving, to Friday, to Saturday, and Sunday. And its 3-day weekend, which was just Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, taking off its premiere day and Thanksgiving, came out to $27 million. So still pretty good money, and that's really great. And keep in mind that this movie will come out on Christmas, no extra cost to all subscribers, which is basically just 30 days after its debut on theaters. If not, it is 30 days after its debut on theaters. So many people are holding off to see it until Disney Plus. If I can't see it on theaters, I'll probably see it on Disney Plus, but I am hoping to see it on theaters. But this movie still has a lot of room to make a lot of money, because it has no competition for the next 2 weeks until Spider-Man No Way Home comes out, so there's no competition there. And even at that, I think Encanto kind of goes to a different audience than Spider-Man No Way Home-ish, so it kind of has a whole other extra week until Sing 2 comes out, which is when then it's going to have some true competition, but by then, that's whenever Encanto's going to come out on Disney+. So Disney really scheduled this movie pretty good, and I think this movie is going to get some good amount of money, to be honest, which is really great. Clearly, this movie has a really high chance of crossing $100 million domestically, which will beat Cruella's box office earlier this year, as well as many other movies, as only 10 movies this year have crossed $100 million domestically. So that would be a big accomplishment for Encanto, and that's really good. And then the movie's gonna blow up on streaming, because for sure it's gonna blow up on streaming. Like I said, many people are holding to watch it there, and I definitely think it's gonna blow up. We already saw what happened with Luca and Soul, where those movies blew up, while in The Last Dragon blew up as soon as it became free and everything. So these animated movies blow up as soon as they become free on Disney Plus, and this is no difference. So it's definitely gonna blow up, and I think that Disney did the right move with this movie. They got the best of both worlds. They really wanted to keep that big streaming number that Luca and Soul was getting, but at the same time they wanted to get some box office money. So right here, I think 30 Days was pretty good. They're getting some really good box office money. Like I said, it's probably gonna reach $100 million dollars domestically, which is really good. And then plus they're gonna release it on Disney Plus, and it's gonna be a massive hit, especially since many people are waiting to see it that day. So it's gonna have those big numbers like Luca and Soul. Probably not as big, but still really close to those big numbers, which is great. And Disney, I think, is gonna get the best of both worlds, if you know what I mean. Also, the movie has an amazing Hispanic support with 52% of the audience being Hispanic this past weekend at the movies, showing truly how important this movie is to the Hispanic community and how this movie truly does portray them very well. As Hispanic audiences did show up, that means that this movie really did a great job portraying them. Many people, I did see some confusion from some people saying that this movie was basically like a Coco ripoff, and no, it's not a Coco ripoff. Coco is Mexican. It's showing the Mexican culture and everything, and this one's showing a completely different culture coming from Colombia, which has a completely different culture. So it's not a Coco ripoff or nothing. They're completely different cultures, and they are very different type of style of movies. So if you're one of those people, don't believe that, and I think you should give this movie a chance. I've heard very great things about it. I can't wait to see it myself, and don't think that it's a Coco ripoff, because it's really not. But yeah, that's great. I'm so happy that this movie is getting the Hispanic support, and I know this movie's box office is very important to Hispanic communities, so I'm happy that it's delivering. The movie has made $29.3 million internationally, which is a pretty decent debut. Not great, but still pretty decent. Like I said, it's probably because this movie doesn't have big international support, except for Latin America, which is where it actually got its bulk of its money. So overall, the movie has made $71 million overall, like I said, both domestically and internationally, which is very nice and impressive for its opening weekend. I expect this movie to make around $175 to $200 million. And this movie has strong holds, which I really think it could, and I definitely think it will have strong holds. Like I said, it has very strong word of mouth and everything, so I think it's gonna have some really strong holds. And if that's the case, then I think 175 million is very achievable to 200 million. I think that's very achievable. It all depends on the holds. So it depends if how much the Disney Plus 30-day accessibility is going to affect those holds. Is it going to make it drop really high, or won't it matter because it's amazing word of mouth? We'll see about that next weekend, but I definitely think that has that potential to be that big of a movie, which should be really, really good. So very happy for Encanto. Okay, we're on to the next movie, and this one's Ghostbusters Afterlife. And this movie had an opening weekend of $44 million, which is really, really good, to be honest. It actually beat expectations, which was around $30 million. So that's great, and it actually opened basically on par with Ghostbusters from 2016. Then it had a 45% second weekend drop, earning $24.2 million for this past 3-day weekend. Not the 4-day weekend, just this past 3-day weekend, okay? At $24.2 million, which is pretty good. Like I said, it had an amazing hold of 45%. It's a really strong hold, especially like I mentioned earlier. Most pandemic movies have been dropping 60 to 70%, so this is an amazing hold. It's for the weekend. Box office, it was $29.5 million. In case you wanted to know how much money they did on Thanksgiving, it is some good amount, but not crazy amount. So its domestic total right now stands at $87.5 million, and its international box office stands at $28 million. So as we can see, it's actually doing very, very strong domestically. However, it's doing pretty bad internationally, which it makes sense because this movie has never, this franchise has never actually had really strong international appeal. So keep that in mind. So overall, the movie has made $115.5 million, which is good. I would definitely beat the original Ghostbusters, and by the original, I mean the 2016 Ghostbusters, which made $128.3 million domestically, as the movie is on track to get $100 million on Saturday. This movie, Ghostbusters Afterlife, it's on track to make $100 million on Saturday, so it's almost there, and it's on track to end up around $140 to $150 million domestically, which is really good, and that beats its domestic box office by around 30 million, which I think is a pretty strong number. So very happy for its domestic total. However, we'll see the international box office, as it is really low for Ghostbusters Afterlife. Just having $28 million is really low. I still think it can beat or at least match the 2016 Ghostbusters box office overall, which was $229 million. So this movie still has 2 more weekends before Spider-Man No Way Home comes out, so it definitely has a strong chance to have this really strong holds and perform really solidly, especially after the second weekend had a really strong hold, and the word of mouth for this movie is crazy. The fan reactions have been great and everything, so I definitely think this movie can do some pretty serious money before Spider-Man No Way Home comes out, and I think it can be the original or 2016's Ghostbusters, which is great. So hopefully it does, because like I said, I've heard really good things about it. So yay, I'm really happy for this movie. I'm really happy, and I really hope it can be 2016's Ghostbusters, which would be really cool, especially since we're in the middle of a pandemic. That would be awesome. Okay, moving on to the next movie, and that's going to be Clifford and the Big Red Dog. And it had an opening weekend of $16.6 million, and then it had a second weekend drop of 51.2%, which is a decent drop, way lower than the 60-70% drop. But again, this movie was smaller, so it was a pretty big drop, but not terrible. It was like, oh, it's a big drop, okay. And it ended up earning $8.1 million on its second weekend. Then this past 3-day weekend, it dropped 38.3%, which was a really strong hold, obviously because of the holidays, earning $5 million more. So that's great. It's just keep adding and adding. Now, at the time of recording this video, November 30, the movie has made $43.2 million domestically. So that's some pretty solid money. Not crazy, not like, oh my god, but it's made some pretty solid movie. This has been all done while at the same time being simultaneously released with on Paramount Plus, where the movie is free to all subscribers that have subscribed. And remember, Paramount Plus does have a free trial, so you can basically see it for free if you haven't used that free trial. And the Paramount Plus executives, or just the Paramount executives in total, were saying that the movie did great there. We don't have actual official stats, but they were saying that the movie did great and that a sequel is definitely going to happen with these massive success. So definitely expect a sequel to happen for this movie after having massive success in Paramount Plus. And then on theaters domestically, it's doing really good. Internationally, the movie is doing horrible though, just getting $193,000, not even close to $1 million, meaning its overall box office, it's $43.4 million. So international numbers are terrible, just saying. But then again, I don't really know how much markets it opened on. I'm saying they're really bad. Overall, the movie's gonna end up around $50 million with great success in Paramount Plus, and I'm sure it's gonna be very successful in PVOD as well. So that's great, and they'll actually end up beating other movies like Tom and Jerry's domestic box office, which ended up being $46 million. So that's crazy, you know. I mean, I find that really crazy, but that's cool though. I'm surprised. I think Clifford had a way better word of mouth than Tom and Jerry and everything. So I definitely think that's why. You can check out my review right here if you want to know what I thought about it, and whether it's for your time on Paramount Plus or just whenever it comes on PVOD and you want to rent it for like $5 or something. Yeah, you can check out my review if you want to know what I thought about it. And I definitely recommend checking out my review. And yeah, that the movie, as you can see, pretty solid hit and great family movie. So that's great. Feel very happy for this movie. Okay, moving on to the next movie, and this one is House of Gucci, which I know a lot of you are very interested in. So let's break down its box office. So it had a 14.2 million 3-day weekend, which opened this past holiday weekend. So it had a $14.2 million debut, which is not bad. And for its 5-day weekend, including Wednesday when it opened, Thursday, Thanksgiving, and then the 3-day weekend, it made $21.8 million, which again isn't bad. It's actually higher than many people thought. The movie was very poorly received, however, so this will affect the holds for sure. But with this big box office numbers, it proves once again that Lady Gaga has the star power to deliver big box office numbers. So she's definitely gonna get another role from this. I know a lot of people have been worried that this might affect her career. I think she's good. She's in a good position. I think these numbers are great, and I think she's definitely gonna get another big role. I think she just has to choose more wisely what her next project is after the not so great reactions towards this movie. So let's see. We'll see what they have. Expect a high second weekend drop though, because like I said, the word of mouth is not great. But it could have some great holds, especially as it appeals to a different audience than all the following movies that come out. Like I think it's gonna have a really high second weekend drop, and after that, I think it can have some pretty good holds since there's no other movie that's gonna try to counter it. As Spider-Man: No Way Home is not gonna appeal to the same audience, and Sing 2 is not going to appeal to the same audience. So there's really no big movie that's going to counter it. I guess you can kind of say West Side Story-ish, but I don't think so. I think House of Gucci has the potential to make some pretty decent money at the box office. Not great, but I think it can make some pretty decent money to the point where it's not bad at box office. It just did an okay amount of money. So yeah, definitely expect that much money for House of Gucci. Internationally, the movie has made $12.9 million, failing to captivate the international market. So that sucks, especially the country where the Gucci actually comes from. So that sucks for the movie, but oh well. So the total box office as of November 30th, which is the time I'm recording this video, is $34.9 million overall. So including the international box office and domestic box office. So yeah, that's the breakdown for this movie. I don't really know where it's gonna stand because I have no idea how much this movie is going to hold or not hold. But if it can cross 100 million, then it'll be huge. I don't think it can cross it because it's at $34.9 million. So maybe expect around 75 million, or between 60 to 75 million. I think it's a good number to expect. We'll see though, and we'll see if it can overperform with those predictions. We'll see. It just depends on how strong of holds this movie has, which I really have no idea what the holds are going to be, because word of mouth is all over the place. They has the star power, but we'll see. We'll just see. There's no releases that are gonna, like I said, counter this movie. So maybe that might give it a really big, strong hold, because that audience is gonna be like, oh, this movie looks cool. Let's go see it. So maybe, maybe not. We'll see. And yeah, those are the big movies that opened this month. And so yeah, let's keep look forward to next month, and let's see how much what movies are coming up. So we're gonna have Spider-Man No Way Home, which tickets just went on sale this past weekend, and it broke all the websites. I was trying to get my tickets until like 2 a.m. Tell me if you got your own tickets. I got my tickets, but oh my god, what a grind it was, I swear. But yeah, tell me if you got your own tickets. I'm very curious. Also, I just made a Spider-Man No Way Home video. If you want to go ahead and check it out, it's gonna be talking about the post-credit scene leak. So if you want to check it out, you can go ahead and check that out if you're curious. But yeah, wow, it was crazy to get those tickets, and they actually confirmed that the movie is doing better in pre-sale tickets than Infinity War, and Rise of Skywalker, then Last Jedi, and then all these other big, huge movies. So that's crazy, and it's only behind Avengers Endgame. So this movie's gonna be huge. Expect a huge opening weekend, huge crowds. We'll see how big it can open. It's for sure gonna open with $100 million in front of it. So it's gonna be the first pandemic movie to do that. But can it be 200 million? Oh, that's the question. I mean, Avengers Endgame opened with 350 million. Avengers Infinity War opened with 250 million. And this movie is striking better than Avengers Infinity War, but not as good as Avengers Endgame. So if this was regular times, I think this movie would do like $300 million. But because we're in pandemic, it might be less, especially with this new variant that's coming, which is called Omicron or something like that. I might mess it up completely, but something like that. And that might affect the box office. We'll really see in like 2 weeks. But I definitely think that this movie's going to have an incredible opening weekend. We'll just see if it can have a 2 in front of it. If it does, that would be insane. But even having a 150, 180 is going to be huge. So yeah, this movie is definitely going to be big at the box office. And I definitely think it's going to be the first Hollywood movie to get to $1 billion after the pandemic or during pandemic times. Because first of all, it has a Chinese release date, which has been missing for a lot of these blockbusters. And it has amazing domestic appeal, which is something that James Bond failed to capture. And something that F9 failed to capture, but Spider-Man No Way Home will not fail to capture. And China loves the Spider-Man movies, and I think it's just going to be a huge movie, so with a lot of rewatchability, where a lot of fans are going to want to rewatch it. So definitely expect from me, at least I think that it's going to reach $1 billion. So that's great. That's really great. Then we have another animated movie, Sing 2, which if you want to check out what critics are saying about it, whether to check out if it's worth watching or not, go ahead and check it out. But I definitely think that this one's going to do an amazing amount of money. The word of mouth is really strong on it, so expect this movie to do amazing. I'm definitely going to go see it. I can't wait to see it. So yeah, I think that this movie's going to do some really strong money. Then there's West Side Story, which is kind of the wild card here, because those type of movies, for example, In the Heights, everybody was like, oh, this movie's going to do so much money, and then it flopped massively. So we'll see about West Side Story. I'm kind of skeptical. The word of mouth is great, but we'll see if the box office delivers. We'll see. But yeah, that's basically the big movies that are coming out next month. And yeah, there's definitely some huge movies. Nobody wants to go against Spider-Man No Way Home though. So it doesn't matter, because that movie's going to do amazing money. So definitely can't wait to see that movie. And tell me if you got your own tickets, like I said, I'm definitely curious. And which movies are you going to see in December? Are you going to see Sing 2? Are you going to see Spider-Man No Way Home? Are you going to see West Side Story? I'm definitely curious. Tell me that down in the comments. And yeah, that'll be it for this video. So tell me down in the comments what you think about these movies. Do you like how these movies are performing? Do you not like how these movies are performing? Any thoughts on any movies, like House of Gucci? What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on Clifford? What are your thoughts on Eternals? What are your thoughts on Ghostbusters? Any of that type of thing, you can leave that in the comments. What are your thoughts on Encanto? I'm definitely curious to hear those thoughts, especially if you're Hispanic. What do you think about the movie? Do you feel represented? I'm kind of curious. So definitely tell me that all in the comments, and tell me which movie you're really waiting for to do great at the box office. I'm definitely curious. As well as leave a like. Like I said, this video took a long time to make, so please leave a like. It would be very helpful. So please leave a like. As well as subscribe for a lot more videos. You can check out my October box office breakdown if you want to go check it out, where I cover Dune, Mandatory Carnage, No Time to Die, and there was one more movie I'm forgetting, but James Bond. If you want to check it out, go ahead and check it out. I definitely recommend it, especially if you enjoyed this video. And yeah, subscribe for a lot more content. Like I said, I'm covering the box office for Spider-Man No Way Home and everything. So yeah, definitely should subscribe. And yeah, that'll be it for this video. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And this is Jerry Entertainment, out.